Welcome everyone to the Mind, Body, and Soul television show coming to you live from our internet TV studios right here in Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Coach Steve Todt, and also the founder of Conscious Evolution Media. We are streaming to you live on YouTube Live as well as Hangouts and at consciousevolutionmedia.com. And our guest this evening is a very interesting, beautiful lady. Her name is Kimberly Hart. She's an author and many other things, which we are going to find out about in this Conscious Hour. Welcome to the show, Kimberly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on the network. And our theme this evening is how not to be frightened of love. So, Kimberly, if I take away that title of author and transformational coach and all the other things that anybody has ever called you in your life, if I take them all away, what's left? Who is really Kimberly Hart?
I am a woman who decided sometime very early in life that I would mask myself and hide behind expert and all sorts of diplomas and overachieving. And sometime along that way, I found out that that leads to disconnection with your heart and disconnection with other people. So who I am now is someone who strips away all those things. I don't use them much anymore, and agrees to be vulnerable and authentic, because it is truly the only way to begin to change the world.
Wow. That was one absolutely fantastic answer. So now I know that I can ask you the next question, which is, since you are an absolute expert on love, tell us about your love life.
My love life begins with being in love with myself. It took a lot of years to really begin to understand that. I always wanted someone else to fill the lack of love inside of me, because isn't that why most of us go into relationship? There is currently a pandemic of loneliness on the planet. And so what we think is going to handle that loneliness, that lack inside of us, is someone else, and it never works. So the love of my life happens to me, and that doesn't mean narcissistic. Only when you have that much love does it overflow, and can you give it freely.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and that's really where I've been for quite some time now. I actually haven't been in a relationship, in an intimate relationship. I mean, I'm in relationship with myself, and I'm in an intimate relationship with myself, but I haven't been in an intimate relationship with another human being for the last 10 plus years, ever since I started this network. And to be absolutely honest, I'm not even missing that person. Why am I not missing that person? For the same reason you just described. I directed my energy and my love to myself because I always, like you said, was looking for someone to fill this hole outside of myself. And there's no hole.
That's correct. When there's no hole, then relationships become a conscious choice. And it's interesting. Our Madison Avenue has trained everyone to believe that everyone is looking for a soulmate. It's not true. About a third of the population really wants someone to last, to be with them forever. Now, with our life expectancy clearly about 120 now, let's say you hook up with someone when you're 30. Think about that. That's 90 years with the same person. For some people, that doesn't make them want to run screaming down the hall. For others, it does. And so what they want is they want consecutive relationships. And those are relationships that last 10 years, 20 years, 5 months. But they put everything into them, so when the relationship has run its course, they're okay with mourning the loss and moving on to something else. And here's a secret. About a third of the world's population does not want a soulmate romantic relationship at all, ever. They choose to get their love and their fulfillment through their family and their spiritual family.
Oh, very interesting.
And it's the secret, because if you tell people that, they go, no, it's just because you haven't found the person. But when you found the person, then you want it. No, they really, truly don't. And there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, I must agree. And I'm really not looking. I am just open. Is that okay, just to be open?
And not only is that okay, each one of us has to choose what is right for us.
Yeah, there you go. So this is right for me.
Yeah, some people who are always desperately looking, will create the same outcome all the time because they haven't filled themselves or changed the beliefs they have about men, women, and love.
So tell me this about this interesting thing. Like you have a lot of mastery around crisis intervention. What is that about?
That's about giving back. My first book came out in '92, and so I'd closed down my private practice, and I was prepared to go on the book signing tour and be a famous author and do those things, right? And Hurricane Andrew hit Florida, and I thought, listen, I can put this on hold. I'll go for a week or two. I have more degrees than you can shake a stick at, so I'm going to go and offer my help. And the Red Cross told me I couldn't help because I hadn't taken Red Cross 101, which really pissed me off. So I got on a plane, and I went down and I talked a local radio show into creating a nighttime radio show when people were lost and alone in their tents, in their front yards, guarding their houses, with almost nothing left, with little transistor radios, and they and I talked. And we talked about what stress was and what post-traumatic stress was, and the Medical College of Miami took me under their wing, and they taught me how to really understand post-traumatic stress and what worked and what didn't work. And we closed the show down a year later, and it was the nation's first attempt at handling that type of post-traumatic stress where everyone was equal and no one had to admit they needed help.
Wow. So nobody had to admit that they were broken, because asking for help is really like there's something broken, right? Instead of, I'd rather say that I need assistance or someone needs assistance, not that they need help. You know what I mean? Because help to me assumes that you're broken or something is broken and needs to be fixed. So
it's a great suggestion on reusing of the words.
Yeah, words are very powerful. So the theme of the show is really how not to be frightened of love, and I can't wait to go deeper with you about why is it that human beings are afraid and frightened of loving, because I kind of find that throughout my journey that's the only reason I'm here.
Yes, it is. The human's basic drive is to be loving. And somehow we got it messed up. We thought it was to be loved, but it really is to be loving. But what you have to give if what you're looking for all the time is to fill that lack, whether that is lack is esteem, or tell me I'm enough, or tell me I'm desirable, whatever you have that is lacking. Then you go into a relationship and you want that other person to fill it, and they fail you, and it hurts, and you recover from that and you try again, and it hurts again. The problem is we don't really understand love. We don't understand that we've been pre-programmed by ourselves very early in childhood to have our beliefs programmed into our subconscious mind. So whatever we believe about love gets pulled into ourselves. And so it always hurts. So of course you're afraid of it. It ends up hurting.
But isn't it true, Kimberly, that if it hurts, is it really love?
Ah, I hear what you're saying. Well, here's the deal. No is the short answer.
I thought so.
The more in-depth answer, and that's what we're doing here together, the more in-depth answer is people who love you can hurt you. If it's deliberate, pack your bags, hit the road. If it's not deliberate, then you have work to do, because everyone is human. We're going to make mistakes, and from time to time, the people we love are going to hurt us. That's also a reason that we don't want to be vulnerable. So what we do is we put up masks, and we take classes on how to package ourselves. We take classes on what to say. We do everything but learn what love really is. And so when you fall in love or you want to create love, you move into the unknown, which is a scary place. It only becomes a dangerous place if you haven't studied what love is and what it can and cannot do, because love is not the answer to all things. It is love and intimacy combined that you want to have in order to keep a relationship viable.
Wow, very interesting. So my personal curiosity about it is that all the relationships that I had before I became conscious and awake were relationships that were not healthy.
Mhm.
So I don't really know. I can imagine it, I can dream about it, but I don't really know it because I don't have the experience, and I would like to sometime, whenever. Um, what it would be like to be with someone with with me now, who I am now, because who I am now is a completely different person than I was, 12 years ago. Completely different person.
Oh, I totally understand that. My book, Get Love, was written for that reason. The whole first half of the book is a series of love letters. We call them love missives. And they're actual love letters between me and Adam. And it's what two healthy people do from hello to what happens next. And rather than roll the credits after they meet, which all movies do, is they roll the credits and the women's romance novels after they've struggled and he didn't want her and then he found out he should have wanted her and all this kind of stuff. They roll the credits. What this book reveals is a very intimate look into two people's relationship as to what a healthy relationship looks like, whether it works or not. What is the process? What is the honesty? What is the vulnerability? What is the risk? You will see, pardon me, you will see when I fall in my face. You'll see when I shine.
Mm. Okay. Would you also say that a healthy relationship would be where two people actually support each other, meaning that they want the best for each other, and that's it. Is that so? So I remember my old relationships. Not that I really want to talk about them, but just for the sake of comparison, I remember in those relationships we were actually winding down. We were hurting each other, not supporting each other to be better human beings. We were compatible on the part where, um, her um, her being disconnected and her being hurt from her childhood was compatible with me being disconnected and me being hurt in my childhood, and we were very complementary between our hurts.
Absolutely, it's how it works. Let me explain a little bit about how love works. How you behave in relationships has everything to do with what you believe. We know in most business books today and most self-help books today, they say the same thing. You have what you believe, or your beliefs create your reality. That's absolutely true. Well, that doesn't help you at all if you don't know how to change your beliefs. So
Right.
most of our beliefs were laid down before we were 7, and how a belief gets laid down is like intense focus, intense feelings, and oh, that's how life works. So you watch a man do something, you go, oh, that's how men are. And you watch a woman do something, you go, oh, that's how women are. And you watch your parents and you watch other people, and you lay down those beliefs. And then what your subconscious mind do is like this huge magnet. It pulls in those beliefs. And once they become cemented or branded in you, sometime in your teens, that's what will happen for the rest of your life until you shift your beliefs. That's why people go into relationships and they go, I'm never going to pick someone like my ex. And they pick someone who's not like their ex at all, but yet they end up in the same situation because your subconscious mind is so powerful that it goes through the index and it goes, oh, hey, look, love's supposed to hurt. And this is working out pretty well. I'm not doing my job. I better find a way to make this hurt. And it does. That's how powerful. It has no conscience, no opinion, no judgment. If you've ordered it, it happens.
Yeah, that's very, very powerful. So let's focus a little bit more on what love looks like and what it feels like. How does someone know that they really being in the energy of love?
Ah. You ask yourself this question. Do I feel safe? Do I feel cared for? Do I feel pleasure? Do I feel my ability to drop my mask and be authentic and vulnerable? Am I accepted and understood? If those things are in place, you are in the presence of love. What does it feel like? Well, Now, there are millions of poets who have tried to find the words to tell you what love feels like. That is unique and special to each one of us. But we absolutely know when love is true because our gut tells us. For those of us who love the dangerous side of things, what happens is we fall into lust and excitement and the anxiety of when they're going to kick us in the teeth. We feel alive that way, and we like that. And for others, we choose people that we can run over because we don't want to ever be vulnerable, and we want to be in control. And here's the secret. Control and love cannot exist simultaneously. So you have a choice. Be loved, give love, or control. It really boils down to how much courage you have. How brave can you be? Are you willing to risk? And I would suggest the only legitimate time to risk a romantic relationship is when you love yourself first.
Okay, so let me run this by you. So I say this. When we're experiencing confusion, manipulation, fear, and control, we're not in love.
That's correct. With the caveat that fear could be in place when you are in love. That could be in place. If you're afraid of the other person, that's different. But if you're frightened of how much you could love, if you're frightened of how much they love you, and do you risk receiving that, that's a different issue. But yes to all the rest.
Great. So Kimberly, somebody said this to me, and I don't remember who, but I want to check it out with you. Somebody said to me at one time that the amount of pain that you can endure in loving relationships, and this includes breakups, equal to how much you can love. Is that accurate at all?
No, absolutely not. It comes from our Christian Judeo ethics that let's build statues for people who have been hurt and martyred themselves, and let's resent the people who have silver spoons in their mouth and who it looks like their life is filled with ease. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to the class of the person who's found out how to do life with ease. Everyone has hurdles, but if someone is in their grace and is filled with peace and joy and happiness, I want to talk to them. I don't want to talk to people who are suffering and can tell you all these woe stories and how they've overcome them and now they no longer have their wounds. Wouldn't it be better to find out people who didn't have wounds in the first place? The only reason people say that is because they haven't yet in themselves figured out how to have life without struggle. Most of the time, because we all have days we're crazy, but most of the time, life is supposed to be beautiful and filled with happiness. It was never, ever meant to be this painful.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm kind of come from the school that whatever it is that we're experiencing is perfect.
No, let's expel you from that school.
Why?
No, Steve, let's expel you. Come on over to another school. Because it's not always perfect. The person who needs to change is always ourselves. And we know we're not perfect. Lord, I was raised in a very violent home. I was a pretty sick puppy. There was nothing perfect about me. In my 20s, I had so many masks on, you couldn't even begin to see me. I wasn't perfect. And besides, why would you want to be? That means you never have room to grow. You have never room to change. You don't ever want to be perfect. You just always want to be growing and changing. And growth and change is different. It is not perfect. But here's what we really want to hear, and this is the truth. You are loved, and you always deserve love, no matter what.
Okay, so maybe you misunderstood me, so let me try this a different way. Okay, so if I say it this way, that whatever is happening right now in the moment is perfect just the way it is. And pain comes for humanity for not being okay with what's happening right now. Are you hearing anything differently?
No, I'm hearing the same thing. And the same thing is we create our own reality, all of it. We're responsible for it. So in that, if you want to call that perfect, I would argue with the word because of what people do with that word. We talked before that words have power. We create our own reality. If we want our reality to change, we must change. If we want the world to change, we must change. We can't look outside ourselves till we've looked inside of ourselves. I have the good fortune this year to go to TED, and TED will be filled with the people in the world who have said, I'm going to change the world. And then they do. They just don't say it. Then they do. It's like, what wonderful company to keep. And they don't accept that it's perfect when their life is filled with pain, or that they create it, or that they shouldn't change it. In fact, if pain has any gift at all, it is the impetus and the motivation to get out of pain, and not to stay there because it's perfect and somehow that's destiny. Well, hogwash to that. Create your own reality.
Well, we are. Every moment.
That's right. Every second of every day. And it's not always perfect because we're human.
So
maybe I should rephrase that. Consciously change your reality.
Yes, which is tied to what I'm going to say next, which is about, and I don't know who to give credit to on this one, again, but there's this saying out there that information is the most powerful thing you can have, or information is priceless. Like information, where everything is at is in information, and I say that's hogwash.
Me too.
Everything is in action. Without action, I don't care how much you know. Like you have probably several. I don't know if you have any doctorates. You have probably several. You mentioned at the beginning of the show that you went to a number of different schools, so you have probably a number of degrees, and all of that stuff is fantastic, but all of that stuff is just information, and information by itself without acting on anything is useless.
I agree. I agree. You can sit around the table and be an interesting conversationalist, but not much of a human being if you're not in some way being of service. And being of service could be staying in your house and creating something there. It doesn't mean you have to go out and be with people if that's not comfortable to you. Everyone needs to find their own way. Does everyone need to be of service? No. But everyone needs to feel like they matter and they're significant. And information, unless you're the creator of that information, won't do that for you.
But isn't everyone in service in some way, shape, or form?
Can you ask me that question another way?
Isn't everyone? I mean, just the fact that we. But by the way, since you're a smarty, I got to ask you this question.
Sure.
Where did the word human come from?
You know what? I do not know.
Remember, I told you I've been doing this for more than 10 years for sure, and I interviewed thousands of people, and I have asked this on the show. I stopped counting. Nobody knows where the word human comes from.
So tell me.
I have no idea. I looked on the internet, which is where we all go now. I Googled it. Nobody knows where the word human comes from.
Aren't mysteries just great? Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. But I am in total alignment with you. It is the balance of our intellect and our emotions, which are our feelings and thoughts, that creates a balanced human being. We need both. And action, absolutely. Otherwise, how can we adventure? And I so love adventuring.
But this is just somewhat of a proof to me that we're most likely aliens.
Oh, well, you know what? I have no argument with that. The point is, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Okay. But, okay. All right. So let's talk about your book. Your book, Get Love, How to Transform Your Life. How long did it take you to write this book, and what got you the passion to really write about this, and what do you think the outcome is going to be when people read it?
It took me my whole life to write it because
Wow.
it is a conglomeration of what I know now, and in 3 years I would write a different book because I'm always investing in my own growth. What possessed me to write it? I didn't sit down to write it. I sat down to write a book about being the only woman consigliere in the United States. And this is what came out and said. So clearly, I wasn't supposed to be talking about that. I was supposed to be talking about what I knew about love and what I had consistently learned through the grace of sharing of my clients. And what I've learned from my two mentors. I really believe in mentorship. I've had one for 34, 35 years and another one for 7. So I talk to one or the other of my mentors almost every week of my life. I invest in myself in that way. What I wanted to give the world is I wanted to be more loving in the world. One of my goals is to be one of the world's most sought after authorities in love. Because, you know, we study golf and we study tennis and we study how to write and we study how to knit. We study how to produce radio shows and how to talk online and how to date. But we don't study about the thing we all want, which is love. And so I've been a student of love for a very long time now. And what Get Love is a revealing of my own vulnerability around love. And then the 4 steps you can take to change anything in your life by reprogramming your subconscious mind. It's my gift. The book costs almost nothing. It's my gift to the world. What do I hope the outcome is that you change your life the way you want it, not the way you want to sit on the couch and watch TV and have it happen, but sit at the kitchen table and do the work. It's 4 steps. You can do this. You can change your life. It's not rhetoric. It's exactly how the subconscious mind is wired. And I've been a student of the subconscious mind for well over 30 years now. It's how it works. My job was to make it accessible to you.
That's wonderful. So I know several organizations that almost think that this word transform, they own it. How do you feel about the word transform? Is it being overused? Do people understand what it is? What is it? What is transformation?
Transformation is when you take one source of energy and you move it to a more useful sense of energy. So let me explain. You're at a juice machine and it costs $1.25 and you have $2. You can't get the juice. You go get change and you put it in the machine, and now the money has more value to you, but you have juice that's going to nourish your body. Now when you nourish your body and you change yourself, that's transcendence. That's another form of energy. Transformation is one energy moved to more useful energy. And anyone who tells you ever that theirs is the only way, run screaming down the hall, get your money back, because that person is so lost in ego they can't possibly be coming to you from their heart.
So would you also say that maybe transformation could start with an aha moment?
Absolutely. A gestalt, an aha moment, an actual vertical download of information. We all have had those. Sometimes we throw them away. Showers are great places for those things. Okay. We always have to bring it down to the practical where you and me can really deal with it and get it out of the ethers. It can't help us up there. It has to be down here with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you also say that people should be able to see themselves once you have, because people probably ask the question, okay, so how do I know that I just experienced transformation? Well, don't you think that they should be able to explain who they were being before and who are they being now after having transformation? Is that possible?
Depends upon how long after the transformation, because it's like this. You grow, change, grow, change. If you're lucky, you actually have the change happen. How you know you changed, and that's what transformation is, changing one form to a more useful form. The word change was in there. How you know you change is that your life is different afterwards, and you will never know, except for if you have an epiphany, you will never know when in that growth the change happened. You will only know you're different. And how do you know you're different? The world behaves towards you differently. It's not a secret.
Yes. Yeah, actually, the world was the same. We just see it differently. We see it with a different color glasses.
But also, by virtue of the law of physics, the world actually responds to you differently as well. Both are true. It's not the world, your world.
Yes, it must, because when we change, the world cannot any longer respond to us the same way. It works both ways. Which is the thing where people tell me, we used to have lots of relationship shows. I don't know why we don't have them anymore. But most of our hosts in relationship quit. They just couldn't handle being in relationship. So this is interesting. So God, this was like an epiphany that I wanted to share, and I was just having it. Okay. the epiphany is gone. Um, what was I going to say? This was so important, and all of a sudden, do you have this? That something is just on the table.
Relationship shows? Yes. You were talking about relationship shows and how that had all changed because the world now responds to you differently because you're different.
Yeah, so this works the same way with actually two people. Because people have told me for many, many years that it takes two people to change a relationship. And I kept going, I kept saying, no, it doesn't take two people, it only takes one.
Ah, okay, you're right. It only takes one because it's like this. It's back to physics. When two vibrating forces come together, given enough time, they will vibrate in harmony. So here's the deal. You and I are out to lunch, and we're having this really wonderful conversation, and we're agreeing, and we're not agreeing, but we're loving doing that together. And the energy is really high, and it's moving, and someone who's having a really bad day comes and sits down at the table with us. Now, our energy's up here. Their energy's down there. We have three choices. We can dishonor ourselves and do what society says is the polite thing to do, which is get quiet and go down and find out what that poor soul is having pain about. Or we can hold our energy, and by virtue of the law of physics, whether they ever tell us what the problem is or not, they will leave the table being better because they must pull up to us, or they leave. Now let's put that into context of a relationship. You're a high-spirited person who gives and loves and wants to receive and has learned to do that. And when you're having a crazy day, you say, I'm being crazy today, honey, don't pay attention to me. You know the fair fighting rules. You know how to communicate. You're there, and you choose, for whatever silly reason you chose, to bring someone in who doesn't want to share and doesn't want to really divulge their vulnerability and is so afraid that if you find out who they really are, you won't love them. And if you hold, they must come or leave. I highly recommend, though, you choose someone more on the plane that meets your own. But you could do that. It's just a lot of work.
Yes, yes, I am absolutely in agreement. And in the past, I must admit that when I met with someone that was, and I didn't even know how to define it back then, of course, but today I know, if they were vibrating at a much lower frequency than I was, I would do what you were talking about, which is, oh well, this person must be needing some coaching, and maybe I can fix it. And so I would end up spending endless hours with this person. Yes. Take them out to breakfast, take them out to lunch, take them out to dinner, working with them forever and forever, over and over, doing the same thing. And guess what? Every time we had these conversations, they always agreed, yeah, this is what's wrong. Yeah. Okay, well, then change. But they wouldn't. They were too committed to who they were.
So here's something to look at. They were committed to who they were, and if they had changed, it would have challenged your belief that people don't change to love you. And that's a belief you might want to change.
And I didn't know back then that it actually served me. It served me back then that they wouldn't change, because then I could be the coach, and I could just go, well, here we go again. I'm trying to give and love, and they seem to be receiving it, but nothing is changing. So
they couldn't change. Your subconscious mind wouldn't allow, because then you couldn't earn their love.
So,
I know that one. I always chose fixer-uppers. I mean, how could you had to choose fixer-uppers? How was I going to give all this love I had to give, and how could I be wise and wonderful if I didn't need fixing?
Yes,
I fired myself from that role.
Me too.
Recommend you do so too.
Me too. Oh, I did. I just couldn't take it anymore. And now it's kind of interesting because the way my life is, that these frequency shiftings and these things are not occurring anymore. Actually, I'm noticing that things are shifting very quickly. So if somebody comes towards me that's at a lower frequency, very quickly they figure out who I am, and they just leave on their own. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to fire them. I don't have to let them go. I don't, I don't have to
The
say,
law of physics.
okay.
Don't you love it?
Yes, they just disappear because they,
If you and
I mean,
I
they know.
refuse to fix them, they'll leave. They'll go find someone else who's still in the fix-it mode.
Yeah,
Better,
yeah,
better that we have fun.
yeah. And so that this is fantastic. Yeah, I'm really loving my life now. So this is fantastic. I actually have chosen. I mean, before I even go into this next subject matter, just think about choosing. I want to talk to you about choosing, because I get a lot of different feedback. So some people seem to think that we're not really choosing, that our destiny is predetermined, and it doesn't matter what we do, we're going to end up basically on our journey, do whatever it is that we were assigned to do or given to do, whatever our journey is, whatever we came to this planet, to this earth, to experience, we're going to experience, doesn't matter what we choose.
Okay, let's answer that question with some depth. People who say that destiny has you by the throat and you're stuck aren't paying attention to that you probably chose before you came what lessons you wanted to learn. How you want to learn them is up to you. Whether you want to learn them in this lifetime or come back again is up to you. That's up to you. We were gifted with two choices. We have a choice of life that we can end any moment we want, or we can treat it as a gift that it is, and that we can choose to have a happy life and do what it takes to learn how to do that, or we can have an unhappy life and learn what you need to do that, because it takes a lot of work to be unhappy, because the universe doesn't want you to be. Life was never meant to be this painful. Choice is high magic, but it's difficult to be in pure choice if you don't know about esteem or self-worth or self-respect or self-confidence. In short, if you haven't learned to love yourself yet, then choice, though it is high magic, is mixed with so much of the mud that you're still dancing in. And having worked my way through mud for a lot of years, I can tell you it's more fun in the sunshine. But you can't get to the sunshine until you get through the mud. So start walking. And don't do it alone. Get help.
Fantastic message. That's absolutely fantastic. I use the same metaphor. I just use different words. Basically, I say that we have to go through the jungle before we get out of the jungle to the light. Same thing.
Yes, and we chose that. We chose it as a playground to learn to be more, to nurture our souls, to be more of a gift when we go home to the divine. We separated from the divine to come here to figure it out. Not all beings did. We did. So use this playground to the best of your ability. Don't consciously hurt another. Don't consciously hurt yourself. And do the work. What else is life about? What could be more fun than discovering the final frontier, which is not Star Trek or outer space? It is the human capacity to love and to create. That is the final frontier. We will never reach the end of those borders.
Absolutely right on. So have you noticed that I changed the shape of the Earth, and it's now in a heart shape?
Yes, I did notice that. I think it's really quite elegant of you to shift the energy. Because Gaia is about
it's the third version. You know, the Earth was flat, and then it was round, and now it's heart shaped. To remind us all that that's what this is all about. It's about loving ourselves, and then our ability to love others. And we can't really love others until we love ourselves, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Profound truth.
So when you say, so I really created this network, Kimberly, to drive people over here, inside of themselves, in towards their hearts. Because the solution, the questions to everybody's answers are not out there. I looked out there, I looked hard, it's not out there. It wasn't out there for me. I don't know about you. Did you find it out there?
Well, I'll tell you what I found. I found mentors who never asked anything from me, but asked things for me. Never asked me to give them anything or to bring people to their workshops or to fill their appointments ever, once, never. They did what a true mentor does, is they give of themselves and their knowledge. They They act as an observer to show you what you might not be seeing yourself because you don't really want to see. There's a lot of things I didn't want to see about myself, and bless them for pointing that out to me. But I want to take a moment to stop here for someone to create an entire network so that people could understand that they deserve to be loved is quite a service to the planet. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take that in.
Please do.
Yes, I do. And I completely gave up and really let it go that, how quickly I will do this. Because I was at a mindset 10 years ago that I was going to change the world, and I was going to do it fast because we're running out of time. We're running out of the most precious thing that we all have, which is time. And that, I felt that my painful journey, it doesn't have to take 30, 40 years to figure this out. This can be figured out in a moment.
Yes.
It takes just a moment. So why the heck have I spent 30, 40 years on it? I don't know the answer other than that's what it took for me. And it's okay.
And that's what it took for me, and it's okay. And folks who come after, who have the benefits, our wisdom, won't take as much time, unless, of course, they choose to.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so go ahead.
The wise ones on the planet.
I respectfully yield to Kimberly.
Thank you. The wise ones on the planet have taken information and have made it accessible. So what took me 4 years to learn, it might take you a weekend to learn. And I've seen that happen. And there's something called morphogenic learning. And morphogenic learning means that when one person learns something, it'll be easier for the next. So if I go walking through the Amazon jungle with my machete and I hack and hack, the person who comes after me will have an easier journey, which is different than if enough people learn it, all of a sudden everybody will learn it. That never has happened, will never happen. It was a faulty study. What is true is that if I learn it, the energy is out there. Now come and do it easier. And one of the wonderful things, Steve, about those of us who were the forerunners is we got the juice of the experience. And I'm not talking about the pain. I'm talking about the time with people who cared about us, who shared with us, who helped us grow, the thousands of people who you've interviewed, who shared themselves with you. Would you give that up for anything?
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely
Nor would
not.
I give up my journey.
I mean, there are certain things that I don't know. I have mixed feelings about some of this stuff. So, for example, you probably know about Gestalt. You know about Gestalt, right?
Yes. Gestalt?
Yeah, Gestalt, where you actually re-experience the hurt that you experienced in your young life. And I've done that. I've done many different things. I mean, I mess around with this stuff for decades. I still have some confusion about, did I have to relive it? What the heck did I have to do? Why did I have to do all this? But there's some things that I feel that I could do without, like the fact that, my mother came in the kitchen with a knife and she was going to kill me. Today I feel I could do without that, and I forgave her, and I'm okay now. But that's really what put the cherry on the cake, and that's what made me leave my country, because I said, now my life is in danger. I can't even sleep here now. I gotta go. You know what I mean? And so at some point I feel I have mixed feelings. Like I could have done without that, but if I would have done without that, I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you. My life would have turned out completely differently.
Yes, it would have. It is a mixed bag. So for those, it is. I mean, violence and threats of violence really either freezes us in time and space, or it propels us forward to protect ourselves. In either case, we could have done without them. There's no question. People are of the misunderstanding that it is pain that moves you to change the fastest. It's simply not true. But if you're in pain, use it to change quickly. What moves you the fastest is more love and more healing all the time. That's what we all need, more love and more healing. And when you are happy almost every day, you do not sit around and eat peanuts and watch TV. I promise you, the happiest people I know are out there in the world being happy, doing things. And the definition of happy, just so we're clear, is that if you fulfill your own survival needs, security needs, if you know you belong, if you have self-esteem, if you know that you have significance and mattering and you do something in the world that has output, and if you have a relationship with the divine, that's happy every day. And for me, I'm happy almost every day, and I work at changing.
Me too. I'm living. What you're talking about, I'm finally living. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, hallelujah.
And it's really not that difficult. It's not that hard. It's actually very simple.
Nope.
Happiness and life and love is very simple, but we do all this other complicated stuff that completely misdirects us.
Yes, it absolutely does. And then we have to pick up the pieces and put ourselves back together with glue. And hopefully, as we love ourselves more, as we receive more love, that we actually become different people. I don't know about you, but I'm not who I was 5 years ago. I'm not who I was last year.
No,
because
same here.
Happiness propels me into change to be more and more all the time.
And it's happening faster and faster than ever before. So it's like, oh my God, you mean there is more? There is more? Yes, there is more.
And what an exciting way to wake up, to know that there's always more.
Yeah. Yeah, and all I'm doing is I'm just having, my arms are open. Here we go. Here I come. Bring it. I'm here. I'm here.
That's right.
And I'm not even concerned. I mean, we've been talking about love, but I'm not even concerned about, how people are concerned about when they get out of a relationship. It hurts. How do I know it? Because I've been through it a few times. It does hurt. And, and I get over it. I mean, I remember the most serious relationship I ever had. Well, the most serious one was my first wife. The second most serious one was with a girlfriend. It took me a year to get over it. I was not able to operate as a regular human being. That's how bad it was. I don't know if you can relate, but it's like I couldn't drive correctly. I couldn't work correctly. All my functions were way off. All I could think about is her. Every time I got into the car, I was listening to all these songs that were about, heartbreaks.
Yes,
and I understand. And I was crying.
Yes.
I mean, it's funny now, but oh boy, that was one hell of a year.
Yes, and I understand.
It hurt. It's like someone took my heart and just did this with it,
Yes, and they probably did.
Yes, they did.
And you put yourself together in such a way that you now are a more and more loving man in the world. Did you need to break your heart to do that? No, but at least you were useful when you did. And your mourning took a year. After every relationship, there is a loss. Even if we are the ones who leave and know it's the best thing, you still must go through mourning. So you took a year. It was a year spent healing yourself.
Yeah, very good. So I guess what I want to connect that conversation to is that I am no longer. It's like fear is disappearing from my life, including fear that I would have. Like, what if I fall in love again? I'm not fear of it. No, no problem. Bring it. I'm willing. I'll do it again. The fact that I was hurt before, that doesn't stop me now. I'm open. I'll do it. I'm here. I want to do it.
And that openness will bring in to whoever matches your resonance and your belief systems. And isn't that the good news?
Well, yes. And also what's the good news is for years now I've been working on getting rid of all the beliefs that are not mine. I can actually identify it. This belief, for example, I didn't come up with this, and I knew who gave it to me, and I took it hook, line, and sinker, and I can just throw it out the window because it's not mine. So
Beliefs that are not yours are often what's called shame. And you can't ever process them because they're not yours. And the only thing you can do is exactly what you did, is give it back to the person who gave it to you. And then you're free and they're stuck with whatever they have to deal with. It's not yours. And oftentimes our parents dump so much shame on us that we are weighed down by it and we don't even recognize that's not mine. And it took brilliance on your part to recognize it's not yours.
let me give a real good example so that viewers can relate to this. So this was probably several decades ago when I first got into the consulting business. My original way of making a living was really in technology, and I became a consultant after I was an engineer, and then I moved from engineering to consulting. And the very first mentor I had in consulting was a guy that managed by intimidation and by fear of force. And because I saw it in front of my eyes how effective he was, not just with his employees, but with his clients and with his vendors. I mean, people just went like, whatever he said, that was the gospel, And I said, oh, this works. And I took it on. I took it on that the way to be in business and in consulting, specifically in that business, is you have to intimidate. Because if you intimidate, you get to control and you get to have what you want. I bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And
well, I'm glad you threw it away.
I threw it away because it does not really work for me anymore.
No, it doesn't, because it means you can't be loved. And it's not a good exchange.
Yeah.
Being controlling and intimidating is not a good exchange.
And he
and
never
it's not
knew.
Even true power.
Yeah, he never really knew. I mean, I was the only one ever that stood up to him. And this is like, this is like a very interesting lining throughout my life, is that, because when I was back in Hungary, I was the one that stood up against communism. I put up my hand. I allowed myself to make fool of. Everybody was going to support me, but when it come to public and public opinion and public speaking, nobody backed me up in public, only in private. So, I always put up my hand. Yeah. This is how I feel, and I made a fool of myself, and hurt myself. And with this guy, I was the only one ever in the history of that company that anybody has ever stood up to him, and really I said to him how I felt, that really I must leave because this does not work for me anymore.
Good for you. A choice of growth and a choice of love for the world. Good for you.
So, I mean, this is all good stuff. So, you are absolutely amazing. We're coming up to the conscious hour, believe it or not, ending. So I would like you to share whatever you would like to share with the viewers in terms of what products you would like to promote, or any seminars, or your public speaking, anything that you like.
They can find all that on the website. My encouragement to you is just go to getlove.com and look around. There's a free audio there on how to end loneliness, and a free audio on what true love really is. And you can go to Amazon and get Love. That's the name of the book. It's all real easy. You want love, so go get it. And if it's easier for you to walk some of the classes with me, then do that, or start a book club, or do it with your best friend. My goal is that you have the love you want.
Awesome. So, Kimberly, you have been just absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
You probably you know this about yourself, that you make a huge difference in the world because of who you are being, and you are very authentic. You do walk what you talk. I think throughout this show that was very obvious to me, and I'm sure it's obvious to the viewers. And you change lives, and I know you work in corporations, and now that's what I decided to do a little over 6 months ago, that I'm taking this conscious evolution movement, I don't know if you want to call it a movement, whatever we want to call it, into corporate America, because it's time.
It is
It's
time, and you'll
corporate
find that
America is ready.
corporate.
They're ready
It
for this.
is.
Hmm.
Yes, they are.
They weren't ready 10 years ago. They weren't ready 15 years ago. But I don't know if you heard of the Anderson, the consulting firm. Have you heard of
Of
them
course.
before? Yeah, of
Of
course you have.
course.
You worked in that area. So I used to work for the big fives, a whole number of them, and I got fired from Anderson because I required my team to meditate before we started a meeting. And the reason I made it a mandate is that I wanted them to leave all the bullshit that they were coming to the meeting with outside. I wanted them to be present, and I wanted them to be focused and connected to themselves and having us connected to each other, even that I didn't call it that back then. But I wanted them to spend a few minutes in silence, because back then it was so difficult for people to just shut the F up just for a few
I understand.
minutes.
Yes.
And I said, okay, so we're gonna start every meeting like this, so everybody's calm, nobody's bringing their crap in here, everybody will be open, and we can have a really productive meeting. And somebody ended up reporting me that I was making them do this, and since this was not in the HR manual, and I was completely out of line, they fired me. And look what happened to Anderson.
That's correct. Look what happened to Anderson.
I'm still here, and they're gone.
Well,
That's
the world is
amazing.
ready for you. Go out and get them.
Yeah, I am.
Spread that love.
And the world is ready for you, Kimberly, and the world is ready for love.
Thank you.
I know it. Everybody is ready for love. So let's just continue what we have to do, because that's just who we are. And thank you very much for being on the network. You are absolutely lovely to be with and to have a dialogue with. I enjoyed every second. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you. I'm honored by that. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody, and don't forget to keep tuning into the Mind, Body, and Soul TV and many other shows that we have on this network. And the Mind, Body, and Soul TV, of course, has been around for more than 8 years. So keep coming back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Thank you, everybody. ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com. I love you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for tonight. Have a great evening.